Hi, my name is Libby Powers with Next Home Local Realty Group. And I was thinking about this and I was thinking, most people don't buy a home every year. And so the process of buying a home gets a little fuzzy from home purchase to home purchase because most of those home purchases are like 6 to 8 years apart. Sometimes they're really long and sometimes it's a really short time. Sometimes things happen like job changes or whatever, and home purchases have to happen real close. But most of the time, they're about 6 to 8 years apart. And so I was thinking it might be nice to create a series of videos that walks us through that process. So this first video will be the one that tells you what to think about when you're looking at a home. So I don't want to in any way imply that I'm taking the place of a home inspector. I always encourage all of my buyers to use a home inspector because they're going to look at things way better than I'm going to. But I want you to think about, as a consumer, these are some things that you can be thinking about when you're evaluating a home. So the first thing I want you to think about are the big ticket items. Excuse me. Things like the HVAC system, which would be your heating and air conditioning units. And it could be either one or it could be two, depending upon how you have it set up or how they have it set up. The second, the second one would be your roof. What does the roof look like? What's its age? Does it look like it's been, we live in Arkansas out here, so you're probably going to have some hail damage. Is it terrible hail damage? I don't know. Those are things to think about. And then your water heater, the age of your water heater. Now, if those big ticket items are functioning as they are supposed to, they will pass your home inspection, which is what you expect. But as a homeowner, you need to be thinking, oh, if that's an older HVAC system or an older water heater, I'm probably going to have to budget for replacing that down the road. So it's just a way to keep you from being surprised, like in 5 years, where you're like, oh, well, it was a 15-year-old, HVAC system, and now suddenly I have to replace it. I don't want you to be surprised. So be just thinking about that, okay? The next thing I want you to think about is water damage. Look for water damage evidence. You might find it in stains on the ceiling where the roof leaked. You might find it in soft windowsills or around the edges of your window. Or you might find it in the floor. You might even find it in your cupboards. The cupboards in the kitchen might be swollen a little bit. And that's, there's a lot of reasons why water gets in, but water is the enemy of homes. We want it on the outside and not on the inside. So just look for water damage because that will be a thing to be aware of. The next thing I want you to think about is the structure of the home. Do you see cracks above the doors, the edges of the doors and the ceilings, the corners of the doors and the ceilings? Do you see cracks on the ceiling? Do you see cracks on the doors? Do you see cracks on the windows? Anything that, do the doors open and close nicely? Or do you have to lift it and shove it in to close it? Those are things to be aware of. And they may indicate something else, so it might be worth getting another inspection on that. The next thing I want you to think about is your lifestyle. How do you like to live in a home? What's important to you? If you like a kitchen that has a really big island, then you probably don't want a galley kitchen, right? Where there's countertops on either side and you go straight through it. But you might love a galley kitchen because you're like, it's super efficient. I love a galley kitchen. So how do you work in your home and live in your home? And does it align with that? Do you entertain outside? Or do you entertain inside? Do you have a big enough space outside that you can live and entertain, or, the inside? Or do you have a home office? So think about your lifestyle and make sure that the home and the yard align with the way you live your life. The next thing I want you to think about is I want you to actually step outside this home that you're looking at and listen. Listen to the neighborhood. What do you hear? Do you hear trains or cars or children or birds? Are they good sounds? Are they bad sounds? What's the sound that you hear outside? You might also come back to this home, because if you're just driving through the neighborhood, that should be okay, unless it's a gated community. But come back to the home and check it out after work or on the weekend and see what it's like then. So think about what the neighborhood feels like to you. And you know what? Talk to the neighbors. Find out what people are thinking about the neighborhood. So those are really great kinds of research that you can do as a consumer before you put an offer in on the house. The next thing I want you to look for is what we call deferred maintenance. Now, deferred maintenance would be things like peeling paint or like wood rotting around the outside, the edges of like doors that are outside. Things like that, things that could be fixed along the way but haven't been. And it doesn't necessarily mean the house is bad, but it's just a thing that you need to think about, because if this is something that's been deferred that you can see, what has been deferred that you can't see? So you want to be aware of that part of it. And then finally, I want you to ask yourself one question. If the home inspection comes back with only minor issues, and every home has something, are you excited and you're ready to move in, or are you still trying to talk yourself into it? That's a really important question, because if you're trying to talk yourself into it because it checks some of your boxes but you're not loving it, then you probably are not in the right home yet. So a lot of times homes will speak to you. You'll walk in and you'll be just like, oh, I love this. But before you let the home whisper sweet nothings in your ear, think about these 7 questions. My name is Libby Powers, and if you would like someone to help you think through these kinds of questions, my team and I would be happy to help you do that. We are the Central Arkansas Home Team, and we work with Next Home Local Realty Group. And give us a call if you want to walk through a home or check out the area. And anyway, we'll see you on the next video.